Today is the birthday of Malcolm X, our hero. Isn't that marvelous? And I do hope that you're doing something with your family or with yourself or with your friends, loved ones, anybody to celebrate Malcolm's Day. Who knew? I had no idea that this day would actually fall on a Tuesday when I am with you, my beloved. You know I'm crazy about you. So I've decided that today I'm going to dedicate this day through the life of Malcolm X. I'm going to do some things a little bit differently from our normal readings with Regina, where I pull out the books and I read to you and this sort of thing, and I highlight certain passages. I'm going to do some things a little bit differently because I really want you to get a firm idea of who Malcolm X was, is. And I say that because he's an ancestor now. Okay? So you can call on him if you believe in the African tradition and in other traditions that revere, okay, ancestors. Now, let me show you though, before I get to Malcolm, one of the things that the good, heroic brother was fighting against when he walked the earth. You see this? Look at that. White people love making fun of us. Yes. They even built caricatures into everyday utensils like this one. This is a thermometer. Look at the eyes. Look at the mouth. Can you dig it? These were sold in stores. White people bought them. This is how they passed down racism from generation to generation. All right. Now, this was from the 1920s. Let me show you something else that blows my mind. I hope you can see it. Can you see that his pants are kind of down? And have you noticed that many young brothers are wearing their pants without a belt? They claim that they are imitating prisoners. Prisoners have no choice. You see the buttocks? You see that? Brothers and sisters, Black people, who are you? Make sure that you do not fit into the stereotypes that white America has made for you over the centuries, not just during enslavement, but during the segregation period and Jim Crow as well. Look at this, a thermometer, a household item. All right, let me leave that. I want to show you who Malcolm was imitating when he was in jail, learning how to be a public speaker, okay, because he knew that he wanted to carry the Honorable Elijah's message across the Black world once he was released from prison. Paul Robeson. Yes, he would listen to Paul Robeson's baritone voice and he would imitate Paul Robeson's speaking style. Okay, here's another one of my wonderful pictures of Malcolm X. And I think you guys know who he's talking to right there. King! These are leaders. These are truly Black leaders, different in strategies and style, but they were true Black leaders. Do you see any of those today? I won't start that. And when I send people cards, I want to make sure you can see it. This is a Malcolm card. It's empty on the inside. So you see, I adore Malcolm X, and I make sure that I have all kinds of memorabilia that pertain to that great brother. Because from great heroic Black people, we get courage, we get strength, we get innovation, which is one of the reasons that I created Readings with Regina, because we have to read more. Americans, not just Black Americans, but all Americans are at a lower reading literacy level than before. Check that out, people. And to top it off about Malcolm, look here. I wrote a book on Malcolm X, And I did it through the poetics of Haki Marabuti, because Haki was a follower and imitator of Malcolm X, and he created Third World Press, which is still going on today. So now I want to show you some other books that are very important about our hero, Malcolm X. Malcolm X, The Man in His Times by John Henry Clark. Listen here, people. Any book that you see by John Henry Clark, buy it, borrow it, get it from the library. He's a very important Black scholar who actually walked and talked with Malcolm X. Okay? Understand that. So this is Malcolm X, The Man and His Times by John Henry Clark. Okay, let me put this. Where am I putting this? I don't even know. Another great book. Here it comes. The Judas Factor. The plot to kill Malcolm X. Because it was a plot. Now, I know it was brothers that killed him. Yes, I know that very well. But if you think that the FBI, CIA, American government wasn't involved, you're just not thinking thoroughly, okay? They wanted Malcolm dead because he was a strong, Black, articulate, courageous leader. And I'm going to even jump back to my book on Malcolm. Because, see, one of the things that I do is to prove linguistically that Malcolm gave us our new racial name. If you recall, when Malcolm's speeches, he would always say the so-called Negro, the so-called Negro, the so-called Negro, because he was laying the foundation for the so-called Negro to be something else. That is the African in America. That is African American. That's what Malcolm did. So, in that linguistic sense, he was a nation builder, which he was. All right. Boom. Now, if in fact you want to know more or something about Malcolm's mom, which you should, she taught all of her 7 children French. Yes. She was teaching them another language. She was absolutely a Black nationalist freedom fighter. She met her husband, Earl Little. Let me find him. At a Marcus Garvey convention. Can you dig that, people? So, Malcolm X had 2 very race-based teachers who were his parents. This is why I tell all of you, share my videos with your children. That is very important. And I don't think I mentioned it. This is my last episode of Readings with Regina for this season. I will be back next season, okay, with Readings with Regina. But this is my last episode for the spring season. So what do I want you to do? I want you to re-look at some of my videos. Have your children look at them with you. And I'm going to give you some questions to ask of your children a little bit later on. But I want to really show you all of these fabulous books that are on Malcolm X. And if you want to know about, where's that book? If you want to know about Malcolm's wife, Betty, excellent book, Betty Shabazz. Okay? Surviving Malcolm X. And I actually read this with a group on Clubhouse. I'm no longer on Clubhouse because I like to see people. I can't. Anyway, point. Betty Shabazz by Russell Rickford. Very good book. You will be shocked as you read this. And it's not funny. I'm only laughing. I laugh when I get excited. How did Betty survive? You know, she had all those little darling girls. When Malcolm X was assassinated, she was pregnant with twins. Can you imagine that? And she had to pick herself up. And oh, what a great woman she is. Call on her. Very good book. All right. Let me make sure I got those. Let me show you some more. Malcolm X. What is this? The Political Legacy of Malcolm X by Obatisha Baka. No, I'm wrong. Obatishaka. Good brother, California brother. All right. Very good book. Okay. I highly recommend this book. Now, and when I say I highly recommend this book, I'm saying that because there are some books on Malcolm I will not recommend, but I recommend this one. Okay. All right. So we got that. Yes. Zach Kondo. Conspiracies unraveling the assassination of Malcolm X. Unraveling the assassination of Malcolm X. Unraveling the assassination of Malcolm X. This too is a good book. And let me just say this, to you people. When you go to your job, you can make copies of some of the chapters or some of the passages or some of the pages that you can share with your family. Okay? Don't just use that Xerox machine, for your boss or, White America who you work for. Use it for you. It's very important that we as Black people carve out an independent kind of nation for us because we are a nation within a nation. Eldridge Cleaver of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense said that. Other leaders have said that. Okay? Don't be just trying to be an American because you're not an American. You're hated in America. Can you dig it? Poor white folks too. How much health care do y'all have? How much free health care do y'all have? Okay, that's all you got to do. Ask yourself that. How many homeless people do you walk over when you go to work? How many homeless people? And many of them are vets. All right. Now, here's another book that I highly recommend Malcolm X, the FBI file. You should check out the FBI file on Malcolm X. And this is, of course, by Claiborne Carson. All right. Well, my books are piling up over here. Let me try to move these suckers out the way. I'll put them here for now. Now, you see this book here? This is a monster. This is a monster. I read this with a group, right? Oh, The Dead Are Rising by Les Payne and his daughter Tamara Payne. This is the book. You want to know more about Malcolm? You want to know about Malcolm as a little boy? Okay, forget the autobiography. Notice I didn't hold that up. It's a cool book. Boom. But the kind of research that Les Payne did, because he was an independent journalist, the research that he did, we get to see Malcolm as a teenager. We get to hear from Malcolm's friends, okay? And even girlfriends who liked Malcolm, young Malcolm, okay? And I'm not just even talking about little Black girls either, all right? Because there were some white girls that liked him too. Yo, hey. Okay, so The Dead Are Rising. Isn't that a beautiful picture of Malcolm? Highly recommend this book. And you can see it's pretty thick. So once again, you read it little by little, okay? And it's funny that I said little by little. That was Malcolm X's last name. He came from the Little family. Earl Little, okay? His mother, Why am I blanking on her name? This is terrible. But anyway, his mother was a little, okay, all of his siblings were littles. And okay, that's another story I was getting ready to tell, but I'm not going to share that just yet. I want to say to you, though, I want you to think very carefully about how the legacy of Malcolm X fits inside of the books that we have read together on Readings with Regina. For example, we read The Slave Ship, did we not? What did you learn from The Slave Ship? Okay, this is what you should ask yourself. How does the legacy of Malcolm X fit inside of The Slave Ship? Okay, how does it? Does it fit inside of The Slave Ship? Of course it does, right? These are little assignments that you can give to your children over the summer vacation. Do not just have your children be home on the computer by themselves. Make sure that they look at these videos, listen to my words, and come up with questions for them. Okay? That is very important. Why? Because the intricacies of the slave ship, that wooden world, I love that Marcus Rediker, the writer, used that term. It was a wooden world. It is that wooden world that took the African from the continent, the Igbo, Mandingo, Dan, okay, and others. They were on that wooden world. And from that wooden world, where did they go? To the American plantations most often. And so they left their African ethnicity and identity, okay, in a spiritual realm, if you will, because they were renamed. That's where linguistics comes in. They were renamed Negro. They could not keep their African names. All right. They were renamed Negro. They were property. And Negro very often was spelled with a lowercase n because the enslaved people, the enslaved African, were living cargo, in quotes. This is what was printed in Marcus Rediker's The Slave Ship. So think about different episodes that I've read from The Slave Ship and make questions for your children. Have them write passages, and you should as well. Now, if you ever need help with any of those kind of assignments, get in touch with me. Just come to my website. I'm going to put up my website again as the show goes on. Okay, what else do I want to show you? I want to remind you of Linda Brent. What did you learn about Linda Brent that Malcolm X would want you to talk about with other people? What did you learn? And I'm even pausing here because I don't just want to give you my answers, although I am going to give you my answer in just a moment. But what did you learn from Linda Brent? Okay, an enslaved girl. Well, I'll tell you the most prominent thing that you learned. You learned about pedophilia. That's what you learned about. You learned that some of the masters that own Black girls and Black boys, but Black girls we're concentrating on, were pedophiles, okay? And you learned that enslaved people were handed down through the family. Okay. She could be owned by the father. Then she could be owned by the son. Then she could be owned by the son's son. Do you understand that? She did not have any kind of free will at all. And she was a house slave. Now, Malcolm X, he talked about two kinds of Negroes, he said, the field Negro and the house slave and all like that. And there were more kinds of Negroes because she was a house slave. But she ran away. Okay. And that's where we left her. She ran away. That took courage. Okay. And one of the lines that I read that Linda Brent wrote was that you have to trust, not fear. I'm going to say it again. Trust, not fear. Black people, trust yourself, trust in the universe, and overcome your fear. So I want you to look at incidents in the life of a slave girl, because while we are away from one another over this season, right? You can always look at previous episodes of Reading with Regina and come up with little quizzes for your children. In fact, that's what I want you to do. Understand that I am Dr. Regina Jennings. I am giving you what I have given college educated students who paid thousands to hang out with me. Whoa. Hey, now, what did you learn through the vision and the actions of Malcolm X? Through Ida B. Wells, what did you learn? What did you learn? You learned the strength of a woman. You learned that the first investigative reporter in this country, female, was Ida B. Wells. Do you understand that, people? And what did the good sister investigate? Lynchings. Yo, because the mainstream media, which I don't want you to just rely on today in 2026, no, the mainstream media lies to you, or they will lie to you through omission. They will not tell you the full story of anything. Do you really understand what's going on in Iran? Do you really understand why this country attacked Russia? Do you really understand the arms, weapons transfers to Israel, boom, to Ukraine, hey, to other countries in Africa? Do you really know those stories? No, I will say. This book is called Without Sanctuary. And as you know, it is a book of photographs that came from postcards of the lynching of our ancestors. And the book is by Congressman John Lewis, Leon Litwack, Hilton Els, and James Allen. This is what this country has done to you. Do you understand that? So those of you who are like, well, I'm an American, really? Know your history. I know it's hard. I understand. I feel your pain, but you got to know your history. Okay. What else did I want to show you? Oh, I want to show you. Okay, let me hurry up here because I want to get all of this in. That was where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. I've been reading from The Slave Ship, right? Well, Marcus Rediker just dropped this book, and it is a monster, Freedom Ship. And it talks about the enslaved people who escaped slavery via the sea, SEA. Yes. And if you remember Linda Brent, the last episode that I read of Linda Brent, what was she dressed like? I'm not even going to say it because I want y'all to remember it. And if you don't remember it, go back to my previous episode, okay? And you will see exactly the connection between Linda Brent and the sea. And let me show you this beauty. This is a new book. I didn't read this to you. It's called Rebellious Passage, The Creole Revolt, and America's Coastal Slave Trade. Let me tell you why this book is so important. I have been trying to find information on Madison, Washington. That brother loved his black enslaved woman so much. They were to escape slavery together. But something happened that night, and the wife couldn't go with her husband, Madison, Washington. And she said, go ahead, baby, you go on. He did. He got all the way to Canada, but he missed that black woman so much, he came back into America during the slavery period to find his wife. Hello, you want to talk about a love story, black women, black men? This brother, Madison Washington, went back into slavery to get his woman. Now, he got instead remanded back into slavery. He was on a slave ship You know what Madison Washington did? Took over the slave ship. Yes, there was a mutiny on the Creole. So I'm not going to tell you any more about this. I've known about the story and it's been hard to find information on it, but I talked with Marcus Rediker and he recommended this book. I've read a little bit of it. I'm already in love. Rebellious Passage. Now, let me show you something else. I think y'all know old Tupac. I know many of you adore Tupac. This is his legacy. I love this. It's by one of my Panther brothers, Jamal Joseph. But do you know that the book company has stopped printing that book? Now, ain't that something? All right. How does Tupac relate to Malcolm X? How does Tupac relate to the Black Panther Party for self-defense? How does he do that? Okay. And I want to show you this as well. Let me find it. Now, this is my book on, well, it's not only on Tupac, but it's called Poetry in the Black Panther Party from Ancestral Memory, Morphogenetic Fields to Hip Hop. The hip hop is Tupac's lyrics that I compare and contrast with the poetry of Huey P. Newton. Many people do not know that Huey P. Newton wrote poetry. Huey was a little shy about sharing his poetry, but he wrote lots of poetry, and I compare his words, and we can see how he changed over time. But I compare his lyrics to Tupac's lyrics as well. So that's one of my books. In fact, let me show you another one of my books. Let me show you this one. Blacks in Race Defense, Killers and Cutthroats. I love this book because one of the things that I'm doing with my writing is to make sure Black people know that they had heroes. Most of us don't even know all of the heroes that we had. Can you dig it? So I absolutely want to fill in that gap. Blacks in Race Defense, Killers and Cutthroats. Now, the Killers and Cutthroats, I borrowed that from the Irritated Genie. And this is the back of the book, same book. Do you see all the symbols there? All of those symbols mean something. The axe, the Kemetic symbol, the king, there. All of that means something, people. And you'll find out about it when you purchase. And I want you to get my books. Write about them. All right, do that. And I want to show you something that blew my mind. I'm trying to find it very quickly. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Do you know? Let me sit back. So I want to make sure you can see this. The golden-eyed queen, Sarah Unya. Do you know we had a panther queen in Africa? I'm not playing. This ain't fiction. See her? She was a panther queen. She believed that her people, all of her people, were born of people and panthers. Yo, this is the truth. And this panther queen fought and defeated the racist, rotten, low-down pigs French. The French and the Germans said they were going to kill her and enslave her people. Yo, you got to read my work and see what she had for them. There was a real panther queen. That's what I want you to know. Now, you might say, well, how does that relate to Malcolm? It relates to Malcolm because Malcolm always talked about the importance of knowing your history. So did John Henry Clark. If you don't know your history, then you won't know your present. You won't know how to create your future. From these works that I have shared with you over these months, I really want you to look at how you fit inside of America. I want you to be able to tell your children how they fit inside of America. I want you to be thinking independently of white society. This is a society that hates you. It always has. Don't try to fit in. Let us build a new world together. Well, let me say one more time, this is my last episode for this season. I treat these seasons just like I did when I was teaching at the university. I never worked on Malcolm X's birthday. Never. But I felt that I would share Malcolm X's birthday with you, my YouTube audience, because I want you to start celebrating it. I've already said do a dance, do a poem, tell a story, read a book, anything that has to do with Malcolm X, because he is the father of our nation as he renamed us African America. Now, this is what's going to happen because I even though I got a couple of new subscribers, I probably will come back next season. Okay. So, those of you who have subscribed, you should, I hope, get a notification. But I won't be here for the next couple months, June, July. More than likely, I will come back in August because that's Black August. We will see. But anyway, you should get a notification. However, let me say this to you too. Wait a minute. Where is it? Banners. If any of you ever want to get in touch with me, and I do, some of you have, we got a nice little relationship going. I want you to come to my website. Where is it? Here it is. apanthersister.com. apanthersister.com. Because that's who I am. That's what I represent. Okay? And I will help you with any kind of summer assignment that you want to give to either yourself or your children. And I want to say one more thing. If you don't have money to buy these books that I've showed you, cool. We have libraries all over Philadelphia and all over cities wherever you're watching me from. Make reading a part of your life. When you read, it expands your brain. Okay. It makes synaptic connections within the brain that are good for your brain. And if you line it up with your heart, I do this every day, every morning when I wake up and every night. Because as you can see, I'm a bit fiery, and I don't want to wear my body out before it's time. So I slow down my breathing through meditation because I stay very angry all the time because I can see what white America has done. Look for alternative news sources, okay? I encourage you to watch RT.com news as well because their commercials are history lessons. And this is what we need. All right, brothers and sisters, I absolutely love you dearly. And I look forward to being with you next season. In the meantime, in between time, take good care of yourself, love your people, even if they get on your nerves, love your people, and think of a way that we could be more creatively independent in white America. Hello. Take really good care. I got a comment here. Let me bring this up. Oh, good. Let me show this. Love you madly. Yes, and I love you. This is one of my new subscribers. I think it's Yolantha. Anyway, I'm not even going to try to say your handle, okay? Love you madly, my dear. And I'm so happy you're here. Spread the message. Look at all of my other videos. They're there to be just like we're together live. All right. I'm checking out now. Y'all stay wonderful.